This video is for all the drunkards out there. Okay, no, it's actually for investors who want to understand the alcohol sector. You know, about a year ago, we made this really nice video on Globus Spirits. And after we talked about it, did the analysis, we got a lot of comments and the stock rallied for a while. After that, Globus Spirits actually started falling. Then this year, we actually made a video on Old Monk. That video was super nice. You should check it out as well. But for some reason, all people were asking the same question. They were saying, why is the alcohol sector, all these stocks falling? So we thought, why don't we make a nice set and talk about what's happening with the alcohol sector? But before we actually tell you what you should do, I think you should think about yourself a little bit. This weekend and every weekend, you can learn to upskill on how to invest properly. So we think beginner to intermediate investing should be free, but only certain people should get in. So we have this fantastic 2-day program where if you get selected, you can learn inside a cohort with other like-minded investors from the beginning all the way to intermediate how to invest. And you will learn by actually building. We call it be a doer because we think you should not learn by watching something. That's just YouTube. At LearnApp, you can actually learn by building or learn by doing. So click on the link below, fill up the form and tell me if you applied. Anyway, let's get back to this and find out what the hell is happening in the alcohol sector. India's alcohol industry is pretty interesting. It's the third largest industry in the world. Number 1 is China. यार ये लोग हर जगह पहुंच जाते हैं. Number 2 is the US. These guys love to drink. But I'm guessing there are more drinkers in India and maybe by value, America is larger. And number 3 is right here, Bharat. About $35 billion worth of liquor is sold in this country. This is why our government loves to charge and take a piece of that pie, and well, that's how it helps running this country as well. So the business model is very interesting. The entire industry is divided into 4 parts. And I have these props. We first have Indian-made foreign liquor. Basically, whiskey, rum, all of these things made in India is IMFL. You must have heard IMFL. Then we have wine. Of course, these are only representatives. There's not actual alcohol in here, but you know what wine is, right? Made from grapes. And then finally, we have beer. Actually, there is one more category left, and that category is country liquor. You know, when you go to Goa and these other places, they have this local liquor you can buy, like toddy, or एक और example बताना?
Penny.
हाँ, penny in Goa. Anyway, these are the 4 kinds of liquor that are present in this country. And the business itself is not that straightforward. You might think, bottling kar di, made some nice liquor, log to pee lenge. This is the same logic as people saying, if I start a restaurant, people will come and eat there because people love eating. The truth is, 95 or maybe even 99% of all restaurants actually shut down. In this case, it's also similar, except a lot of people don't enter this industry. I need like a printout, man. Is that kuch aisa? Kuch, show me something. Very nice. Okay, cool.
सेक्टर में नहीं है.
Acha, okay. Okay, as you can imagine, it requires a lot of capital expenditure to buy these big ass machines. I won't claim to know what this does, but it looks pretty important. You can also see these silos. This is where the liquor is stored for a period of time in the entire process. So you have this process over here. Imagine the investment required to build such a plant. Then you have this part, the aging part. As you know, every piece of liquor goes through a fermentation process. And that fermentation process happens inside these wooden barrels. So a cherry oak barrel will give a slightly different taste than say another different kind of barrel. Then there are different spices that go through to give that different taste. But the longer it's aged, the more valuable that wine or liquor actually becomes. Some are even aged as old as 50 years old. But of course, people like you and me can't afford that liquor. And some manufacturers do some crazy things like put it in a special kind of barrel, throw it in the middle of the ocean and recover it after some time to give a special taste. I think Jack Daniels does that. Anyway, this is part of the process. Now think about someone making furniture. They can make the furniture and sell it. Here, there is a delay between manufacturing and actually selling. So this also complicates the entire process. You're wondering why I have pictures of aloo, but you know, aloo or potatoes is one of the raw materials made to actually make different kinds of liquor. Aloo se kya banta hai? Vodka is made from aloo. And then this is obviously wine, which are grapes. And then wheat way you get hops and grains, okay? And from grains you get beer and other kinds of liquor as well. So there are a lot of raw material inputs. Now I want you to think about, you own a liquor manufacturing unit. Can you control the prices of potatoes or these other input ingredients? Do you think the price could double in a period of time or go up 4 times or even 5 times? The truth is it actually can. So even things like the monsoon farmer, where you're procuring it from, what the price is, becomes a big input cost in this entire story if you look at it from the manufacturer's point of view. We'll touch on this later on. After this, the story is not over. No one is gonna buy your liquor if they if they can't reach out at the shelf and see it. So distribution is another problem. You need to have distributors at a state level, then at a city level, maybe even smaller than that at retail level, and make sure that these people are distributing your liquor and you're able to move product. If you're a new liquor manufacturer and your product doesn't move, the distributors may refuse to actually do it. So that's another sales channel that has to be cracked. If distribution is not there, the business won't work. I'll give you an example. I remember way back, KitKat had introduced KitKat Orange. And this was around December at Santa Claus. They marketed it by saying Santa Claus loves orange KitKat. I was a kid, obviously. And I went to 4 or 5 different stores to find orange KitKat. I couldn't find it. After that, someone gifted it to me and I completely forgot. Now I realize, oh, they didn't crack distribution, otherwise I would have become a customer. In liquor, I think Old Monk is a very good example. You should check the video out. But in Noida, we went to like 5 or 6 different outlets and couldn't find Old Monk. So I guess there's a distribution problem with Old Monk as well. We'll talk about that soon. But even before this, there is one more level. We'll go up. And the top of the funnel is what we call in marketing is people knowing and discovering your brand. And for that, you have surrogate marketing. But the government doesn't allow you to market any alcohol. It's forbidden. The only way to do it is saying stuff like Bacardi rum and CDs. Bacardi? है ना? Bacardi CDs. Hayward 5000 soda. Huh? Huh? Blah 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 whiskey t-shirt.
Men will be men.
Men will be men, and so on and so forth. I think they even have glassware now. I forgot what company that is. You can put it in the comments if you can tell me. If you have a weird ad you have thought about or seen, please put it in the comments. Let's have some fun, yaar. बहुत ज्ञान की बातें हो जाएगी. I'd love to see what creative ads these guys have come up with. But this is also a challenge. If people don't recognize your brand, they will not reach for it if the distribution has happened. So this also has to be cracked. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Well, I'm telling you because all of this will lead up to one problem. Will someone pick this up for me, please? Thank you. To why the industry is actually falling right now. Now, I can go through all of the profit and loss and balance sheet and we can come to a conclusion. But I wanted to make this video a little smaller. Tell you what is actually happening. So let's just talk about the one problem. Yaar, growth nahi hai. So if I open Globus over here and I open sales, we can see in 2019, 300 crores, 270, 229, all the way to the latest numbers is 600. An easy way to understand this is just looking at EPS, right? So I'll start from March 2021. The EPS sounds like this. 18, 19, 18, 10, 16, 12, 7, 9. Now, I know that sounds like a poem, but the point is it should sound like 5, 6, 9, 10, 15, 20, ideally. And in this case, it's actually moving sideways. In some cases, going from 10 to 16, back to 12, and then back to 7. So growth earnings का नहीं है. We'll come to why this is happening, but let's see United Spirits. And this time, let's go straight to EPS, because when we see numbers in thousands of crores, it gets a bit confusing. EPS is a singular number, easy to understand. So again, I'll start from say March 2021. Let's hear the numbers, okay? 2.8, 0.7, 4, 4, 2.5, 3.6, 7, 2.9. So you can see it's moving up and down a lot. Finally, we have Radico Khaitan. Let's again do March 21 onwards. 5.5 to 4 to 5 to 5.7, 3.7, 4.3, 3.8, 4.2. Now you can argue some are less volatile than the others, but overall you're not seeing straight growth in any of these. That's a problem. Now, why isn't earnings happening? Because sales is sort of growing over multiple years, but जो profit बच रहा है, जो earnings है, that is not happening. So if sales is growing, but यहाँ पे bottom line is not growing, what do you think is the problem? Cost. Their input cost is the problem. Remember the batata we saw and all the input costs. Inflation is the issue. They cannot manage the costs because the input prices keep changing. That's the one word problem. The earnings are not growing, and two, they're not able to manage costs, which is why all the stocks look like this. So basically, our costs come from two places. There are raw materials, which the prices keep fluctuating. And second, the issue is logistics. So we had the Russian-Ukraine war, and of course, you've seen the prices of crude. That's not helping. That also adds to costs. And because of that, it's eating into margins and not allowing earnings growth to happen. So what do? If you already hold stocks in the alcohol sector, आपने कुछ सोच के खरीदा होगा, right? You probably bought it because India is a large liquor market. You probably bought it because you think the moats are good, like distribution, brand. And thirdly, it's a sin industry, which means there's always demand. People are sort of addicted to it. There is some level of people wanting to go back to the product again and again. So those things don't change, right? What we talked about is cyclical. That structure remains intact, but these small things like input costs, etc., can differ. But over the long term, nothing really changes. India is still a very large alcohol market, and I think exports are also growing. So if you already own it, I don't think this video should affect your long-term holdings at all, and you should probably continue to hold if that was your earlier plan. If you wanted to enter, maybe this new information might help. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Please give some comments and we can learn from each other in the comments below. And if you're trading, don't trade without a system. You should probably learn how system trading works. You should not be trading anyway. If you like analysis like this, please tell me in the comments below what else you'd like. And guys, click on the link in the description. If you fill up the form, please tell me that you got accepted. Put that in the comments. I'd love to see you next weekend. And tell me, what should we cover in the next YouTube video? See you soon.